right. So for those of you who just joined, I am Tyler. I'm the study abroad advisor at our main campus in Webster Groves in St. Louis, Missouri. If you are interested in studying abroad at any of our partner programs in Italy, Japan, or the UK, we'll give you kind of a brief overview of those programs right now. So first, our partner in Italy. Our partner in Italy is actually a partnership with Kent State University, which is a US university in Kent, Ohio. They have a campus in Florence. So we use their campus in Florence, but it's an English-speaking campus because it's actually a US university who runs it. So you don't need to know Italian to study abroad in Florence. Almost all of the courses in Florence are taught in English, with the exception of Italian language. They do teach Italian as a foreign language at elementary and intermediate levels. So you can study Italian while you're there. I highly recommend it. But other than that, the language of the campus is English. And it actually is not, there's not degree seeking students at the campus like we have at our international campuses. It's just a study abroad campus. So students from the United States travel over every semester to study in Florence. So they'll be surrounded by study abroad students, which has pros and cons to it relative to our international campuses that we can talk more about if you have questions. But it's a great opportunity if you're interested in Florence. Florence is beautiful. Obviously, very famous is the birthplace of the Renaissance. If you're into art and architecture, Renaissance specifically, there's no better place to be. And the campus is right in the middle of Florence, historic Florence. Yeah, so the campus, kind of like our campus in Vienna, Liz mentioned, is a converted palace. If you were just with us in Vienna, the Palazzo Vittori, excuse me, I don't speak Italian, is a newly converted palace that's it's one single building in the historic center of Florence that's been converted to the Kent State campus in Florence. So this building is where all of your classrooms and academic offices and everything will be held in this building. And then housing, housing is provided as a part of the program, but there's not an on-campus dormitory or student residence hall or anything like that. Kent State simply leases apartments throughout the city center of Florence. So you'll be living in apartments, and they're not two of them are the same, because in the historic district of Florence, the architecture varies. So you can see some photos of apartments here, but they're all a bit different because they're uniquely Florentine apartments. So you will live in your apartment with other students, but then your next door neighbors could very well be non-students, just business professionals, young professionals, families, whoever could live next door to you. So that's how housing works when you're in Florence. And then academic offerings, I do want to draw attention to the first three things on the list here, is fashion, architecture, and interior design. If you do study abroad in Florence, you will see a lot of students that fall into those categories because those are all major programs at Kent State. However, those courses in Florence are reserved for Kent State students from those three majors. So those courses actually aren't necessarily accessible for Webster students. Just know that you'll be studying abroad with a lot of fashion, architecture, and interior design students. But they do have communications, biology, business, psychology, history, art history, and culture sort of courses, as well as the Italian language, like I mentioned. So the courses at Kent State, like all of our international partners, are not Webster courses, but a lot of them have already been pre-approved for equivalency. And if they haven't already been pre-approved, we can get them approved so that they can transfer back and count towards your degree here at Webster. So in Florence, you're actually put in a cohort based on your major. So you'll be put in a cohort of students from similar academic backgrounds. And then with that cohort, you take field trips throughout the semester. So that's why it says varies by major. You'll actually go with the same group of students. You'll have kind of set field trips as a part of your program while you're in Florence. A lot of them to other, sometimes outside of Italy, but a lot of them to other cities within Italy. And then for the dates, their academic calendar runs pretty similar to Webster. So they have fall and spring semesters available. They don't have, being an international partner, none of our international partners have the term option that Webster has, to where they don't have the half of a semester. It's either a full semester, and some of them have summer programs. Florence does have a summer program. But in Florence, the semester runs from August to December and in January to May, just like it does here at Webster. And then they do have a summer program that runs the month of June as well, if you're interested in going to Florence in the summer. And so the application process for Florence is a little bit different. So for all of these programs, you're going to start your application process on Webster's end, like you would for any of our programs, even if you were going to one of Webster's international campuses. And then there's just kind of a secondary step. So after you apply to Webster, in this case, you would apply to Kent State to be accepted as a guest student and fill out their study abroad application for Florence. But all of the deadlines and everything like that are contained within your Webster application. So we'll make sure that you get where you need to go with all of these things. Christina Spangler, she's the education abroad advisor at Kent State who works with Webster students. So I can put you in contact with her if you're interested in going to Florence. So we're going to talk now about our two campuses, not two campuses, but two international partner locations in Japan. So JF Oberlin is located in Tokyo, is a popular program that we send students to. So like I said, that a lot of the students that we send to study abroad in Japan are Japanese minors. It's highly recommended that students have some level of background knowledge of Japanese language before they study abroad in Japan, but they do offer beginning level Japanese classes and offer academic content courses in English, as well as JF Oberlin also offers courses in Chinese as well. So if you happen to be a speaker of Mandarin and not of Japanese, you can also take courses that way in Japan. So it's in their main campus is in Machida, which is like 45 minutes or so from the central part of Tokyo. So it's kind of a bit removed from the chaos that you picture of city center Tokyo, but certainly accessible. So Oberlin does have a summer program. This summer is questionable. I'll leave it at that. But for both of our programs in Japan, what's important to know is that their academic calendar, unlike Florence, is very different from ours. So the fall semester runs into January. With Oberlin, this isn't a problem as so they normally have exams like after Christmas in January, which goes into the first part of our spring semester. But if you're studying abroad in the fall at Oberlin, by November, they send around like a petition to complete the semester early, basically, and you get to move up your exams and take them in December and fly home just before Christmas, more in line with Webster's academic calendar. So it's a little bit different, but it works out in the fall. In the spring, their calendar is totally different, which is totally fine. It doesn't, there's no conflict with Webster's schedule that way, but you certainly need to know because it changes the course of your life and in your summer specifically. So they don't start the spring semester until March. Their main break is in between the two semesters, in between fall and spring semester instead of in between spring and fall semester. So they don't start in March, so they don't finish until the end of July. So basically you would return from spring semester just before you're getting ready to start fall semester again. And it's a similar situation with our other partner in Japan as well, which we'll talk about in a second. So for Oberlin, if you are studying Japanese, they do a placement course upon arrival. So after you arrive in Tokyo, you'll take a test and you'll get placed in the correct level of Japanese. Now you don't have to freak out about what you'll get credit for here at Webster. So basically what the Japanese department at Webster has done is approved most of the Japanese language courses in Oberlin to count for a variety of levels. So basically you'll test into whatever level you should be in at Oberlin. And then when you take that course, what it transfers back to Webster as is like the next highest level after the course you most recently completed. So you can still get credit for Japanese, even if you test into a beginning level and you're in intermediate here, which is what we commonly find, as the Japanese language courses are quite a bit more intense while you're in Japan. But you learn faster too, because you're also practicing the language out in the community too, not just in class a couple hours a week. Yeah, so students have the opportunity to travel outside of Tokyo as well, to several nature areas. I know there's the famous, Mount Fuji there as well. So there's a lot of student activities to get involved in as well. It's a large university, so there is a big um, international student population with their study abroad program, which, because they're a partner of Webster, we're not their only partner. So there will be other students from other universities in the US and around the world studying abroad there, but they're also, their university primary student population is Japanese students, local students who are studying their degree programs in Japanese. So there's plenty of student culture around, just kind of finding a way, things you're interested in to get involved in. So then our second partner in Japan is Kansai, which is in Osaka, which is kind of a similar situation to Oberlin in the fact that they offer content courses in English. Not all of their content courses are in English as the Japanese university, but they also offer Japanese as a second language as well. We generally recommend Kansai to students who have a little bit higher level of Japanese proficiency, is it tends to be a little bit more of an independent of a program than Oberlin and Tokyo. But you can see here on this slide some of the areas that they have content courses in English taught in, and then as well as Japanese courses, which is also language similar or leveled similar to Oberlin. So they actually level you within 6 levels, and then you take 2 courses kind of simultaneously. One that's like a listening and speaking course, and one that's a reading and writing course. So then we have our partners in the UK. So we have a partner in London, the University of Roehampton, which is located in Southwest London. So it's another, it's a foreign university. Obviously, the main language of the university is English, being that it's in London. But it's a really diverse campus as far as domestic as far as British diversity. So a really kind of unique place to be. And obviously London is a huge center of culture, and students love being in London. So there is, it is in kind of a more residential kind of corner of London, to where they have a big green park-like campus. It's the biggest, most like park-like university campus within the city of London. But you can get on the tube and be in central London in 20, 30 minutes from where campus is. So academics, you kind of have, if you're studying abroad in the UK, with the exception of like some upper level courses that are reserved, much like they would be here, to students have to have had specific prerequisites. You have quite a few academic offerings because all of their academic programs are taught in English. Their degrees are structured quite a bit different, the way that they structure their courses. And their degree programs at Roehampton are actually 3-year degree programs, the way that they structure their courses. So it will be different than the way you take courses here, but there are plenty of academic options available. The courses are in British credit hours actually too. They're 20 British credits, which is 4 to 1 with US credits, or 2 to 1 with ECTS credits if you're in Europe. So it actually works out to be 5 credit hours per class. So students who are studying abroad at Roehampton only take 3 classes simultaneously for a total of 15 credit hours. I forgot to mention, if I didn't earlier, that our international partner programs here are only for undergraduates too, if anybody was wondering about graduate opportunities. So highlight kind of this London studies section. So all of these other sections here are areas which they have degree programs for their students. London Studies are courses that are designed specifically for study abroad students. So much like I mentioned in Japan and London, they're partners with Webster, but also partners with other universities as well. So there's about 100 students that study abroad every semester at the University of Roehampton, even though we only send maybe 3, 4, 5 students from Webster. There'll be another 100 students from other universities from around the world studying abroad there. And so they have courses that are meant to kind of use London as the classroom. So you get to take a course on the history or culture of London, and you get to travel around and see different parts of London kind of as as a way to supplement your academic experience at Roehampton. So there's also a social program included. So anybody who, excuse me, anybody who studies abroad with Webster at the University of Roehampton, this will be automatically included. So not all students who study abroad will be in the social program, but you get excursions included, which means around London, and then as well as outside of London around the UK as well. And then we have a second partner in the UK, which is Oxford Brookes. So Oxford Brookes, the first name tells you it's in Oxford, which is about an hour outside of London. So you don't in the huge city of London, but Oxford is very famous for higher ed, obviously, with Oxford being located in Oxford. So there's a lot of academics and research and students around the University of Oxford. So it's a great place to be for students with more student prices and that sort of thing. You don't have the access to everything that London has, but you're only about an hour away from London as well. So you can see a map of the UK here with Oxford located here, with London just a bit southeast. Oxford also has broken into departments like we are. So they have a lot of different academic programs that are available in English as well. So sometimes we have students here in Webster Groves that are studying certain things like film or exercise science, programs that we have in Webster Groves that we don't have at our international network, that it works out to go to study abroad at one of our partner programs in the UK, because they do have those courses in London and in Oxford. Yeah, so that's it. I'll go ahead and stop the recording now.